What is up, everybody? This is Michael with Tone Nerds, and we are super excited to be hanging out tonight with multi-instrumentalist, Tonex Mafioso, all around just amazing musician. This is Michael Westbrook from Crowder. We are here to talk with Michael about his rig for the current Crowder tour. Let's start with guitars. Start from the top, man.
Okay, so the craziest thing I feel like about this gig, or for me, my role specifically, is just playing a lot of different instruments. One thing with our show is the transitions are super fast. Getting from instrument to instrument is like, after all the parts are learned, after all the homework's done, the toughest part about the show is just the transitions, getting from one thing to another. So I say all that now just because I think that you'll see as we go through the rig and how everything is set up, that kind of influences everything down the line. So guitar wise here, we've got two gold tone Dobros here.
Sweet.
So this is definitely the oldest one. This one stays in an open E. On certain set lists, it will get tuned down to open E flat. I'm kind of playing this less in like a style of like a traditional dobro and almost like lap steel or like kind of a bluesier approach in that open E tuning. So, and then the other one is actually kind of the same tuning, but it's an open C. Yeah, it's such a different tuning. So the strings on this are like a 12, like the high E string is a 12, whereas this is a 16.
Got it. Okay.
And it's tuned to open C. This one's for Good God Almighty. This one gets used for like Run Devil Run and then Unstoppable in open E flat. Moving down the line, another gold tone. This is Dobro. And this has the K&K kind of dual source.
Nice, okay.
I will say that this Dobro and the two Dobros and the banjo are both kind of like belong to the band. They have seen a lot of miles and a lot of years. Actually, you can see TSA really did a number to this one right there.
Oh man, it's not a tour instrument unless it's in a couple different pieces, right?
Yeah. For bars, I'm using this. This is I think it's the Lapdog bar. And then for thumb picks, I would really like these Golden Gate.
Nice, okay.
And that's like the extra large because they have like this flange on them there. I just feel like they stay real locked in on my thumb. So I'm using those for the Dobro and banjo and lap steel as well, those thumb picks. Guitar wise, if you guys have seen my videos, you've definitely seen some of these guitars. My black Telly here. I get asked about this guitar a ton, just because it's kind of more, you don't see it as often. Yeah. I always forget it's a 62 or a 63 American vintage reissue. I've had this guitar longer than any guitar I've had. And then this guitar has Fralins. These are the Blues Specials, which are 5% overwound.
Nice, okay.
And then this is the Mastery Telly bridge. I find most Tellys, even before this bridge, I had a 6-way on there. I feel like Tellys I'm not gonna play these super kind of higher arpeggiated voicings on a Telly. They just never sound super in tune to me. Yeah. I don't know if that's the nature of Tellys or the sound or whatever, but like there are certain voicings that I feel like work better on like a Gretsch. And I think for the longest time I thought it was an intonation thing, and I don't know what it is, but it works for me. The neck on it is it's a thinner neck, which isn't my favorite, but at this point I've played it for so long, it just feels like home. Next is this is the newest guitar kind of to the arsenal. Come on now. This is from LSL. This is their Placerita. Yeah, this thing has been awesome. These are actually P90s. They're not kind of the traditional Jazz Master pickup. They sound fantastic. I've been super happy with them. And then this is the Descendant bridge and vibrato here, which you don't see these quite as much as the Mastery, but when they were building this for me, I was like, well, I'm gonna buy the Descendant, and I sent it over to LSL and they put it on here for me.
Is it a tuning thing? Is it a tone thing for you, or a little both?
I think it's the Jazzmaster issue is the break angle, right, of how the strings break over this bridge. And the descendant, you can see here, the strings actually go into this vibrato.
Yeah.
And so you get more of an angle here, so you don't get these popping out of the bridge when you play really hard. This has got kind of a chunkier neck on it. It's like a 60s style C, 9.5-inch radius. Yeah, they built it to my spec, and I've been loving it.
Nice. Anything special with the tone and volume? Any like push pull?
No, just
classic.
The more I play, the more I just want things simple and that stuff's not gonna break.
Yeah. So with your guitars, anything like setup wise that you really like prefer on across the board, or is it instrument specific, or what?
It's very instrument specific. I feel like, string wise, right now I'm kind of between Diodario and Stringjoys.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really digging the Stringjoy balance tension set. I think that's what's on the LSL, but I think we need to buy strings right now, so who knows. Here's the thing, with our set, and again, all of the different instruments, I'm not playing every guitar but maybe one or two songs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's definitely part of it. And with the Stringjoys and then the Diodarios, I like the NYXLs. Both of those I feel like have great string life, like they last a little longer, and so yeah, we go with that. Next guitar, which again, if you've
out the beef,
seen my channel, then you've probably seen this guitar. This is a 57 custom reissue. I think it's maybe mid-2000s, so it's about 20 years old or so now.
Love it.
I've had this guitar probably the second longest. This and my Tele I've both had for getting close to 20 years.
Yeah.
This one has done a lot of gigs, obviously. All of this stuff is all like happened.
Dude, that's amazing.
This started, I didn't put it all the way in the case, and the case latch fell and hit it right here.
and then
it just started peeling. Yeah. So there's copper in the paint.
Oh, got it. That makes sense.
In the gold paint. So that's why you'll see the gold tops, especially the old ones, when they start turning green.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the copper in the paint.
This is one of those situations where normal people are much different than guitar players. Because guitar players, their guitar ends up looking like this, and we could not be happier about it. Normal people, like my wife would see that and be like, that's disgusting, you need to get a new one.
So yeah, I've this is totally stock. I've never changed out the pickups or anything in it. Actually, the only thing that's not stock is the metal jack plate.
Got it.
Because typically that's like the plat. It's kind of the similar as the pick guard, but it broke a long time ago. Obviously, I broke a knob, I think last year at some point. I just haven't even replaced it.
Hopefully you don't use that one too much.
I don't. So this one is interesting. It has a set of 11s on it, but it has a heavy bottom.
Okay.
Because this guitar gets tuned down for one song. It's down a half step and then it's in drop D.
Got it. So if you're tuning down, you're typically going heavier gauge.
Yeah, but it's tricky too, I think, with the shorter scale, and then but it does come back up to standard at some point during the set. I've had this a long time, and the headstock's not broken, and I think if something happened to it, I would.
That would be tough.
It would hurt.
If you own a Gibson, it's only a matter of time if you're touring with it before the headstock
this
breaks.
got dropped last year, and the headstock didn't break.
That's a miracle. That is a miracle right there.
Yeah. We had a tech who was out with us, my good buddy Josh Quant. He actually brought me some of these, which he got at a brewing supply store, and he bought like 100 of them for like $10.
What were they originally designed for?
They're they're for bottling.
Really?
If you are brewing and you can bottle. But he's like people charge like $10 for a set. He's like, you can go buy like 100 of them at one of these stores for like nothing. But I like them because they're stiffer and they actually stay on. Mm-hmm. So I guess the last instrument is pedal steel here. This one actually, this is a Williams 700 series. It's a kind of a standard E9 setup. Yeah, it's all delayed and verbed out. Mm-hmm. I have this little satellite pedal board here that's just a volume pedal and then a tuner there.
Great. Now this is running through your...
It is, yeah.
Okay,
so
got it.
Everything runs into the main pedal board over here, which we can get to.
Yeah.
So I'm just coming out of this, going into the volume pedal. it shoots off to the tuner, but then I'm coming back to my main board here. The steel comes into the main board as well as just kind of a regular guitar cable. And then for certain set lists, I use a harmonica mic for a couple of songs sometimes. And so that all three of those would come into this back here, which is a ABC switcher from, I guess, Leela. Or,
yeah, however you say it.
Yeah, however you say it. Yeah, big fan of those guys and all their stuff. But that piece is like kind of key to making this all work for me. Just because with the transitions and with everything being so fast, it just allows me to switch between everything really easily. That kind of comes in and goes through the board. We'll go through the signal chain, but the thing that allows me to do all this so quickly though is the RJM Mastermind here, because everything is MIDI switched. I'm switching in and out loops for the analog pedals, and then I'm switching the MIDI to different presets and scenes on the HX Stomp as well as the Tonex here. This does allow me to kind of switch the order of some of the analog effects that are going through here. So basically we come into the ABC switcher, it goes to the volume pedal here, and then at that point it goes into the RJM. At that point, I think the first loop is probably the compressor.
Compressor before drives?
Yep, compressor before drives. Here, the Cali 76 stacked. I love that thing. It sounds great. Light speed is the second stage. I really love this as kind of a lighter drive. In some ways, I almost end up using like the EQ and the footprint of this pedal more than, like, I use it as almost like an EQ more so than an overdrive. Excellent. I've got the RC booster here, just kind of a clean boost. It has RC booster has a little magic to it too. I've got the Lucid OD from LSL. This is kind of a Klon style thing. Okay. Not getting a ton of gain from it, but just again kind of that EQ that the Klon thing adds that I really dig. And then I've got the Kilt that's very much like kind of fuzz, just gnarly. Now, the other thing that is kind of unique right now is that I was using an overdrive pedal and I had it go down on me on the road at some point. I had this Tonex 1 in a case for like my dressing room practice rig, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna load a capture of like a Noble style overdrive on there and throw it in, because that was kind of what I rely on as my main overdrive, is a Noble style. Got it. I don't even know which one it is. It's one that I found on tone.net. It's either a Vermeerum or it might be the Nordland. So yeah, that's kind of my main overdrive sound. That is wild. What a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, so I mean, it kind of saved the day in that regard, as far as being like, oh, well, this pedal went down, I'm gonna throw it in there. And honestly, I haven't missed it. It sounds great. That's awesome, man. Just pretty soon your whole board is just gonna be Tonex. I know, right? Once I come out of the RJM, then I'm going to the HX Stomp. This is the HX Stomp for me is another thing that is huge for this rig, just because I can get all kinds of sounds. It also allows me to kind of tweak gains of certain things, or like EQ of certain things, just because all of this stuff is running down the same lines, right? So I'm going from a dobro or a banjo sound to a big electric guitar sound, and I need it to all kind of balance out and to work well for front of house. Yeah. So the HX Stomp and then as well as the Tonex kind of allow me to get all those sounds dialed in really well. On the Tonex here, I'm running stereo. I'm using the bigger units just because I have to be able to switch around for MIDI for those. I'm using a lot of different captures, most of which are mine for my Tonex pack, matchless stuff, deluxe reverb, some Tweed deluxe stuff, Tweed Bassman, a Dumble clone. Most of the amps that I'm using for different stuff are all of mine. I am using a couple from Tone Junkie. I'm using some Trainwreck captures for kind of a higher gain thing.
Got it.
That's kind of a little outside of my norm, but we have some tunes where we have to cover that kind of stuff.
So tell me, let's take a quick detour. Tell me about your Tonex captures. Like how do you capture those? Where can we find those?
So you can find those on my website, michaelwwestbrook.com. All of my captures are direct captures.
Okay.
So they're direct captures and then come with IRs. The way that the reason why I did that is just so that there's more flexibility. Even for myself, I like having direct captures because, you know, you play something at home and you're like, man, this sounds great. And then you get on stage and you're like, it's not exactly what I need or what I want. And especially for me in this band is a large band. There's a lot happening. And so EQ wise, I might need to kind of change things just to get it to sit with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You know, when I first came in, I realized I had to start running my stuff a little brighter, just because it would get lost. Things would sound muddy in the mix or just not want to cut through.
Okay.
For the longest time, I loved darker tones, darker guitar tones. When things are dark, you can turn them up louder,
Right.
because they don't hurt your ears.
Right.
But they weren't cutting through. So I think, over time I kind of started brightening things up. But for me, capturing my amps direct and then being able to tweak the IR or to change that on the back end has been super helpful in tweaking it while I'm out here on the road.
Cool. Okay.
And hopefully, people who get them, they can kind of cater to their needs, because it's impossible to know every use that people are going to use them for.
Right. MichaelWestbrook.com. Check it out.
Last thing that is another huge part, I've got the DISO back here.
Yes.
DISO XO, and this is actually the one with the polarity.
Yeah, the
reverse.
Pol Rev, yeah. So do you run into any polarity issues with running Tonex?
So I have with certain captures, just because amps will naturally flip the polarity, Typically what I would do in that scenario is just try different captures to see kind of what played together well. I've also run into some issues where it's not that the amps are directly out, like they're not all the way out. They're kind of like certain frequencies get weird or certain things get weird, especially when you're dealing with when captures aren't by the same person.
Got it.
Right.
That makes sense.
Or they're captured in a different way.
Yeah.
I've definitely run into some issues there. And in those scenarios, I just have to use a different capture.
All right. Well, that does it for another episode of Tone Nerds. Really appreciate Michael Westbrook coming on and talking gear with us.
Of course.
Very excited for the show tonight.